We are back with some more Dynasty price checks. Today, we're talking about a couple of running backs that are interesting. As always, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Join our Discord. It's free. Link is in the description. We're going to start setting up some redraft leagues with our listeners. We already got some Dynasty leagues. We're going to be doing redraft here soon. And we are recording this on June 19th, so keep that in mind. If something changes with these guys, which they shouldn't, but if something does, that's why we don't bring it up. And we're starting off with James Cook, whose ADP, I made him a little bit too big. His ADP, or his age is 25.7. His ADP is 53rd, startup ADP in Superflex, going in round 5. And as RB14, he's RB17 according to Keep Trade Cut. And you see the numbers there. He's improved every year. As a rookie, wasn't very good. Top 20 guy in 2023. Those are all points per game rankings, by the way. And then he was a RB1 in points per game last year. So we do have some contract stuff. So that's going to be interesting to follow. And that's definitely going to affect him if he misses a lot of training camp. We see that affect guys, especially that first month, which is significant in fantasy football because that's like a quarter of your regular season. And yeah, he's a really, really interesting one because I think we could all have seen we could have all predicted him to finish as like an RB1, but not in the way he did with like 17 touchdowns. He did miss a game too. And I think I remember hearing like that the Bills had like 12 quarters combined of like resting their starters because they were just like blowing people out and stuff. That could be a little off, but it was significant, which is 3 games worth of like benching your starters. So I need to go back and look at maybe what he was doing in maybe more competitive games and stuff. But yeah, I think when James Cook came into the league, we expected a 60 catch guy, and he just hasn't been that. His best season is 44. His best receptions per game is 2.6. And it's interesting though, like you kind of look at his numbers from 23 to 24. In terms of per game stuff, it's not that far off. He actually averaged 3 less rushing yards per game last year. He averaged, less yards per reception by 2, less receptions per game by a half a reception. It was just the touchdowns. He had 9 his first 2 years combined. He doubled that in 2024. So I think people are a little bit skeptical, obviously, with the contract stuff. And, can he repeat that type of touchdown production? I mean, if you are going to bank on someone, do bank on a guy on a really good offense. But, I know you like James Cook a lot. Do you kind of see a little bit closer to like a 1,500 total yard, 40 catch, 8-10 touchdown guy? Or do you kind of see closer to like this guy who's going to get 12 plus touchdowns and you're banking on that each and every year?
No, I don't think it's a good thing to bank on, that second thing. The 12 plus touchdowns, his previous 2 years combined, like before last year, his first 2 years, he had 9 total. And obviously, yeah, like we did not expect that to happen. Like, I don't remember the exact stat, but shout out to Adam Azer on the CBS podcast, fantasy football podcast. I'm just going to plug other people's shit, I guess. No, but he has mentioned a few times, like for James Cook to have, 18 total touchdowns last year and to finish outside of the top 5, like that's very, very unusual. I think everyone who has him should be planning on serious touchdown regression, but like, I think maybe closer to like 10 total touchdowns is more realistic, and yeah, like I know you've brought up the pass catching stuff multiple times, like whenever we've talked about him, and it's true, like he's basically a 30 to 40 catch guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't, obviously, like Josh Allen's going to vulture some touchdowns near the goal line. We're going to have another year of Ray Davis, like in the league, like, his second year. It's like maybe he takes some of that too. But I do remember watching, Buffalo's just an exciting team to watch in general. So I did like catch a lot of their games. And it seemed like James Cook was just like breaking off these longer runs. Like he was scoring his touchdowns, in the red zone, but definitely not. What do they call it when you're like 10 yards or closer? Like it didn't seem like as many. Like, and maybe I know you probably have a good way to look that up, but he didn't have any, or not. I can't say he didn't have any, but it's not like he was like the obvious goal line option or anything like that.
Yeah, well, red zone's 20 yards out. I think they might call it the green zone, or they're starting to come. Like someone's trying to push that into existence or something. Yeah, I was kind of just like what as you were talking. Like, so he had 48 carries in the red zone, so 20 yards or closer. 29 from 1 to 10 yards out. So
no, that's actually a little more than I thought. And I did look up. Now, this is according to Gemini, so take it with a grain of salt, maybe. But that he had 6 runs of 20 or more yards. I would have guessed a little bit more because I felt like maybe I just saw all 6 of them and I was like, oh, this is happening every week.
Yeah.
Like I do remember him just running for some. I think he had 2 in one game. Like that turned in like they were like long touchdown runs. And it was kind of like maybe that's what's like affecting my memory of it. Yeah.
I was kind of quickly looking through games where like the final score was pretty close. Now, sometimes the final score is not reflective of the game, but like week 1 against Arizona, he had 22 touches. It was a close game. All these are going to be close games. Week 5 against Houston, he had 22 touches. Week 9 against Miami, he had 15 touches. The Indy game, it was a 10-point game. I don't know how that could have been like, they scored late type of thing, but he had 20 touches. And then there was a couple more where he had like 8 touches in the Rams game and then 15. So he averaged 15 per game, 15 touches, just under that per game for the whole season. But it seems like in those games that were a lot closer, he was getting 15 minimum almost. So I do think that affected him a little bit. So I think, is it outrageous to say he's going to score 15 plus touchdowns? Of course, but I don't think it's, like you said, 10, 12 wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
I guess you're just not banking on it. So,
well, there's basically like you can count them on your on a hand, like how many guys you can say that for,
yeah,
like Saquon and Derrick Henry, basically, like CMC if he's fully healthy, like
for sure.
15 is a huge number, but I think it is one thing I should have said at the top too. He did report to minicamp,
was he holding in or was he actually practicing? Sometimes they go just to not get fined, but they're not actually practicing, so it's like a hold in.
Yeah, it looks like he was not with the team. Like he was there, but yeah, so I guess I didn't catch that part. I just remember hearing like he was there. So yeah, it was a little tricky. I know he wanted some crazy amount of money too. And it's like, all right. I mean, that's what I would do too. It's a good negotiation tactic. Like ask for a shitload and then just kind of scale it back to what you want.
Yeah, for sure. So before we move on here, real quick, what are you have James Cook? Like, I don't think we're trading him away for just a random 26 first. If you somehow think that's going to be top 5, I'm fine with it. So what do you need on top of that? Like a 26 first and potentially early 26 second, a 26 first, and I don't know, like a tier down to someone that you think is going to not, give you production as a top 24 guy in the running back position. Would that do it for you? Do you need 2 firsts? Are you closer to 2 firsts than 1 first?
Yeah, I think getting the 2 first, like I would definitely do that. Like I don't know how realistic that's going to be. I'm actually kind of surprised, but maybe not necessarily. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at like the guys he's kind of ranked around. Like, I was kind of surprised to see him down at RB 17. But let's see, how much has he fallen since the draft? Quite a bit. I mean, it in February he was RB9, and he's like slowly falling. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with like what's happening in camp.
Yeah.
I think people are becoming much more aware of that type of situation. But like I think he's going to be more valuable to your team. Well, not that two first, but than a lot of the guys that are in front of him. Obviously everyone's got rookie fever right now and stuff like that. And it's like, we don't even know what the role is going to be. And he's not overly old, like he is going to be 26 during the season, which is not necessarily like, that's not old even for a running back. It's like, it's starting to get there. I think you might have missed your peak value window earlier this year before, and obviously no one's got the DeLorean, so you can't just go back and be like, oh, I want this. But I think I'm comfortable moving him for, I don't know. I feel like you might be selling low, like he'll be worth more in season, like but I think you're fine to like move off of him for some future pieces, or like you said, like that down tier. Just kind of looking at
some of the older guys, like if you get a first and one of those like Mixons, Connors, Kamara type of guys, like I would happily do that.
A first, and what about a first and the next guy we're going to talk about?
Probably. I probably would. Yeah, which is real quick before we transition. So when you search James Cook in Google Images, he doesn't show up. It's James Cook, the British explorer. So will he ever, when you search just James Cook into Google Images, will the first image ever be him, or is that he's never going to surpass James Cook, the British explorer? Important stuff here.
Let me see. Oh, it is him under images, but he is the first one that pops up in like the regular feed.
You have to go down like 5 rows in the Google Images before you get to a picture of James Cook, which is it's just kind of funny. So, but yes, the next guy is Isiah Pacheco. Shockingly, a year older than Cook. I don't know if I knew that, but
it's only about a half a year, I think. Actually, it is like 3/4 of a year.
Sorry. Yeah. ADP 98 in startup, round 9, RB 25. So you compare that to Cook, like, he's going 4 rounds ahead of Cook essentially, which makes sense. But RB 31, according to Keep Trade Cut, you see the numbers there. His rookie year is not really reflective because if you take it from like when he actually became the guy, it was a lot better. Top 15 guy. These are all half PPR. I don't think I've mentioned that, but top 15 guy in points per game last year in 2 years ago in 2023. And then obviously had the tough year last year. I think people are too quick. I'm not even a huge Pacheco guy, but I think people are too quick to just be completely out. He started the season hot, looked like he was going to have, the backfield to himself. And then he broke his leg, right? And then he came back probably too early. And we've seen broken legs affect guys into like, even when they have almost a year of recovery, especially at the running back position. We saw it with Pollard. We saw it with Andrews at the tight end position. And then people were just kind of like out on him. And that just, again, this is why draft capital matters. It's because he was a 7th round pick. At least that's a huge part of it. And Kareem Hunt looked better. I think I would do that trade. And this is just my belief is like, I think he's going to be a lot closer to 2023 than he was in last year, obviously than last year, but I think he's going to float around. I don't think he's ever going to have a huge season. He's probably closer to RB 20 in points per game than RB 15 or higher. But I think he's going to be a usable piece, a flex guy. I think the big thing with him is I don't expect him to get 40 plus catches like he did in 2023. Because I think they'll use other guys like a Brashard Smith, the rookie, maybe Kareem Hunt. They're going to use a bit. They got Elijah Mitchell there. So I don't know. I think people are kind of quick to kind of throw in the towel on Pacheco. I think this team likes him. I can see him getting kind of like the Clyde Edwards-Helaire usage from like year 1, which was he was getting he had 181 carries in 13 games. So you kind of add a few more games there. So he's getting about 14 carries a game, 2 to 3 catches a game. And I think he's just going to be more efficient, potentially. So I see 1,000-yard, 1,100-yard rusher, 30, 35 catches, and then touchdowns are always kind of a wild card with Kansas City. But, if the offense is good, he should get at least like 7, So what about you? How are you feeling about Pacheco? And would you do that tear down James Cook to Pacheco? And more than I think about it, I'm not like, if I felt decently well that was going to be like that team I'm getting that first from, it was like very good chance they don't make the playoffs, or a decent chance even. I'm more comfortable with it. But where are you at with that trade and Pacheco in general?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would do it, honestly. And I do like Pacheco. Like, I do, I agree with what you said about just like people are quick to throw in the towel on him and stuff like that. Like, I do think he totally just came back way too quick. And like, it was kind of an interesting decision by Kansas City, who they didn't have a tough schedule. He did come back. Like, they still had 3 divisional games. The first 2 that he came back was against the Raiders and then the Chargers. And the last game of the year was against Denver, which obviously he didn't even play in that because I don't even think they needed to win, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
They just let Denver into the playoffs just so they could lose and they could laugh at them. But yeah, no, it was kind of an interesting decision for the Chiefs to come back or to bring him back when they did, when it was like they were probably heavily favored, or I guess they wanted to really lock in that number 1 seed, which is so important. So they needed and they didn't even really like use him that much, so it's kind of like, maybe you should have just let him like rest up for playoffs, but yeah, that broken leg, we've seen it affect guys. Most recently, the one I can think of is Tony Pollard. Like basically took him like over a year. Like it was almost like halfway. I think it was around halfway through the next season, and I think Pollard even said that this is a couple years back, where he's like, "Oh yeah, like I didn't feel like right until this point, and then he was good again," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to think about, that you could be playing football and then actually end up feeling better after like halfway through the season.
Seriously.
It's kind of like, what the fuck? You think that would just like kind of perpetuate everything and like make it last longer, which I'm sure it does make it last longer, but it's like, how could you heal, like, but yeah, I'm not too crazy about the idea of the trade. I do like Pacheco as basically like a solid RB2, great offense, and these are all things you could say about James Cook too. So I think maybe I would make that trade. I don't know. It'd be very team specific. Like I think it's close enough to be considering it, but like I wouldn't be surprised if they had very, very similar numbers, like going at the end of this year, like total yardage and touchdown wise. But it's so I think it is kind of a lateral move where you're picking up a first, like both guys are in the last year of their contracts on good offenses, and we know that they are the at least the 1A, if not just like the one on their teams. Like they're not workhorses per se, but like they are the go-to guys. Like I think that is important to mention about Pacheco too. That's like one of the things he definitely has going for him. Like he is the guy, like the favorited guy there. He's in the good graces of the coaches and everything like that.
I think I do think it's, if the team I'm sending him to or doing that trade with is like a powerhouse team, that I'm probably gonna pass. But yeah, he's basically in the boat of like any first in the year, no matter the year, I'll probably just take it for Pacheco. A couple of seconds, I would probably do it as well, but anything like less than that, I don't think I would. So he's kind of in that boat of guys, just in the vacuum.
Oh, wait, are you saying like closer to the deadline or something?
No, I'm saying like right now, I would take any first for him from any year. I think I would just like cash out on Pacheco and get a first round pick for him if I could.
So you would do the trade then?
I thought the trade was.
Oh, I
Cook.
guess it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, it was on the Cook side, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would just cash out, and I'm acknowledging that could be a bad trade, but it also could be good. It also could be. I think it's more likely that it's like even or good than it is bad for me. So that's kind of the approach I would take with it. But
yeah, and I doubt. I don't know. Maybe he takes some kind of team-friendly contract. This year is going to be a very serious year for Pacheco. This is all just speculation, so we can kind of wrap it up. But like, if he wants to stay there, which who wouldn't want to stay on the Chiefs, get more rings, like. But he was what, a 7th round guy or something like that. Like, I know that's already 3 years ago, and none of that really matters anymore. And like, obviously, the coaching staff hasn't changed, or the top end of it, anyways. So, and they do seem to like him. So, but I mean, he's not going to get like this crazy contract. So, I mean, if he plays really, really well, I guess it'll come down to like, do you just stay on the winning team to get paid less, or do you, if someone offers you the bag, someone offers you the bag, like you've already got 2 rings, like you could be, you're probably a favorite to get another one this year, and then go get paid, right? You could totally see that.
No, he's 100% taking the money. So, and the 7th round stuff, it does matter because again, that's why we're so quick to be out. If this was Breece Hall who had, we wouldn't be as out on him or whatever. So, but yeah, we are done. We'll be back. We'll be talking about some receivers in the next video. Do all the stuff that we ask you to do, the like and subscribe stuff. We'll see you all talking about a couple of receivers.